Welcome back to the Many Toys Of, the show in which we go over the action figure history of various Transformers characters. And guys, I really need a break this week. I'm incredibly tired. So we're going to take it nice and easy and just look at Slicer. Before we begin, a big thank you to Boomtron for essentially giving me the week off. Now, how would I describe Slicer? Well, have you ever seen Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail?
Oh yes, it's very nice.
I know it might sound reductive, I know it might sound like I'm making things up, or that I'm speaking generalities. TFCC based Slicer's personality off the French Knights from Monty Python, and it's really obvious once you notice it. The exaggerated accent, his more comical reactions, the very strange threats he makes, it all comes directly from Monty Python.
I'm French. Why do you think I have this outrageous accent, you silly king? What are you doing in England? Mind your own business.
Of course, before TFCC made their version of Slicer as a character, the original toy came out in 1991. Now, this is an Action Master that was only released in European markets, and is obviously a redeco of Wheeljack. And he came with the motorized exosuit. What's interesting is, Slicer kind of became a darling of the early internet fandom. A lot of the European Action Masters did, in fact. And that's partly just because they never came out in the States, where most Transformers fans live. There was almost like a mythical status they achieved. But you could also add on to the fact that Slicer, much like his buddy Action Master Thundercracker, had such a striking and in some ways garish color scheme, it became fun to kind of poke fun at them. It was that popularity with the internet fandom that led to TFCC making the 2010 BotCon Slice. Now this is a redeco of Energon Downshift, just so we can cover all of our bases, right? Downshift is an Energon character that's homaging G1 Wheeljack, because they can't call him Wheeljack because Wheeljack is a different dude from Armada. And eventually you also throw Slice in here, which means that in a weird way, this mold is connected to like 6 different parts of Wheeljack's character history. We're going to talk more about this in the Many Toys of Wheeljack, but until that happens, I really enjoy this mold. I think the proportions are still very solid. He does have somewhat weedy lower arms, but I can forgive it. The transformation's a ton of fun. The car mode is just great. Absolutely beautiful. Not a patch on Cybertron Downshift, but still very nice. And in the Slicer colors, it's just gorgeous, absolutely breathtaking. The 2 accessories do a lot of work here to make him a little bit more colorful, and I still really enjoy the golden faceplate and the ears. I don't know, Slicer's color scheme could become garish, but it really doesn't. It does have a very nice flow to it, and I think this is one of the better looking versions of the character ever. By the way, if you want, this could absolutely be Shattered Glass Wheeljack because, well, all Slicers could be a Shattered Glass Wheeljack. We're going to make a quick pit stop here just to talk about third-party Slicers, because believe it or not, there have been a couple. The main one to talk about would be the New Age version of Slicer, a redeco of their Wheeljack, and a great one at that. New Age is always going to win points when it comes to presentation, and this honestly might be the best version of Slicer ever. Incredibly well proportioned, very well painted, wonderfully sculpted, and it's still pocket scale. That's the thing that always boggles me with New Age. They look on par with masterpiece designs, and yet they're like 3 inches tall. And Slicer is absolutely no exception to that rule. However, there is yet another third-party Slicer that I've literally never heard anyone else talk about. The Revoltech Slicer. Okay, so just to give you guys a very quick crash course. Back in the day, Revoltech did a lot of Transformers figures. These were non-transforming, heavily articulated versions of the characters. We got Optimus, Magnus, Rodimus, Starscream, and Megatron. A good 5-some. However, there was a company that essentially stole the mold for Revoltech joints and then just started making their own pieces to go around the Revoltech joints. They made characters like Smokescreen, Dirge, and yeah, Slicer here. He is garbage. Not the design. The design's good. But the actual Revoltech joints themselves are so obviously knockoff. They feel brittle, and they've always been brittle. Don't get me wrong, Revoltech joints become very, very fragile over time, but this guy came out of the box already broken when I got him 10 years ago. I still like him. It's cool to have because he is so well painted and the colors are so striking. But I'll be honest, there's going to be a day where this figure absolutely shatters on me, and when it does, I don't think I'm going to be too upset about it. Going back to official Transformers, we're going to enter 2012 to talk about the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive Prime Dark Energon Wheeljack. Now, this is a Wheeljack, but look at the colors. It's an homage to Slicer, and was admitted to be as much by the design team. But I adore this. So, you look at him and you might think, oh no, the translucent plastic means this guy's going to shatter. Except, all of his joints and all of his connector pieces are still solid opaque plastic. The translucent plastic is only in joints that don't move, which means that he's very durable for a translucent plastic figure. And the colors, good God, the colors. I know that this is not technically a Slicer, but it's using the Prime Wheeljack body, which might be the best Prime figure, which means this is probably also the best Slicer figure. Incredibly well articulated, very well proportioned, a transformation that's still mesmerizing, and it makes for what was already a great Wheeljack, and this is my favorite colors this mold ever had. It's kind of weird to say that Slicer's best toy wasn't even using his name, but, well, here we are. That gets us to 2022 and the Shattered Glass Collection Slicer, because if this wasn't complicated enough already, in IDW Shattered Glass, it turns out that Shattered Glass Wheeljack just also goes by Slicer sometimes. I do like this toy. It's the Earthrise Wheeljack, and again, the colors just make this mold pop. I like Wheeljack, don't get me wrong, but his colors usually, right? White, gray, a little bit of green, a little bit of red. It's not a striking deco. He's usually kind of boring in the color department. Slicer really does give so much more life to what are already incredible molds. And let's not even get into the fact that he comes with a second figure. He comes with the exosuit, just like the original Slicer, but the exosuit is a retooling of Fast Track, Scorponok's partner. This makes for an incredible duo, a really fun combination that you can use in so many different ways, including just giving him a massive sword, if you feel like it. And that's it. So what did we learn? Absolutely nothing. We learned positively nothing. We learned that Slicer has had 6 toys, and they were all perfectly fine. I guess you could make the argument that the interesting point of this was to see how a very strange homage can eventually get a legacy in and of itself, and how the color scheme can sometimes be more important than the character, yada yada yada. I'm gonna be so real with you. I didn't make this video because Slicer means that much to me. He doesn't. He is a satellite character to Wheeljack, and Wheeljack, in all honesty, is also not one of my favorites. So why did I make Slicer this many toys of episode? It's because I needed a break, and it's because I'm very happy when I look someone up on TF Wiki and I see that they've had like 4 toys. That makes my day sometimes. But guys, I'll ask you, which was your favorite Slicer? And is there a Slicer that you're tracking down right now? Admittedly, this was a shorter video, and there's going to be quite a few shorter videos this month. I just went back to school, so right now we're trying to find that happy middle between YouTube, school, and the other job, while also attempting to have a social life. And past that, if you have any other characters you'd like me to take a look at, please leave them in the comments below. We, of course, have a big list that we're working through, but we're going to get to each and every one of those characters before too long. You have my word about that. Past that, many toys of Wheeljack, probably going to be here towards the end of the month, but it'll be a good way to see us off and start to usher in February. And past that, I guess we're just going to have to see what we get up to next time.